Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Identity Insights by Indicio. I'm your host, Tim Spring, and today I'm joined by Director of Security and Network Operations, Lynn Bendixsen, and Vice President of Business Development, James Schulte. They're here to discuss the new Google Node on Demand and how you are able to quickly and easily set up and host nodes on a decentralized network. Thank you again for joining me today. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourselves?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having us. We're happy to talk about this. Excited to announce this new great product that makes it easier for our customers to get going. I'm James Schulte, as you mentioned, VP Business Development. I've been here in the decentralized identity space for I think a little over 5 years now. Um, Previously, in my previous role in the industry, helping organizations get connected to decentralized identity ledgers, helping them go through the process of getting vetted as a node operator to set up nodes to help power those networks. Here at Indicio, do a lot of the same, but also help organizations get connected to a broader range of resources and services that we offer so that they can have successful solutions and platforms. Lynn?
Yep, I'm Lynn Bendixsen, here from Indicio, and we I've been in the industry about 4.5 years, and most of that time, almost all that time, I've been helping to manage Hyperledger Indy networks, and so I'm one of the leading experts in the field on managing and running those, and so super happy to meet with Tim today and talk about that and give you some information about our new product.
Awesome. Well, happy to have you both with me today. Let's jump right in. What is the Google Cloud Node on Demand?
Yeah, so it's exactly what it sounds like. This product makes it easier to procure and get a Hyperledger Indy node set up on demand. Our goal with this product make it even easier for organizations to get that base infrastructure of a trusted digital ecosystem set up. So, for example, if an organization is looking to join an existing network, Hyperledger Indy network, and they need to add a node, this is a quick and easy way to get that done. Or if they need their own private network or set of nodes to do any sort of testing, in the development of their products and solutions, it's an easy way to do that.
Would one of you be able to give me a quick definition of what a node is on a decentralized network?
Sure, I can tell you that. A network is built of a bunch of servers that are controlled by different organizations around the globe. And each of these organizations brings up a server that is running what we call Hyperledger Indy node software on it. And that's what a node is. Each of these nodes needs to be up and running to make the network continue running. A couple of them can go down, but the idea is that these nodes are all separate entities that are running a copy of the network, the ledgers that are part of the network, and each of them is contributing to this network, which is a blockchain, and the consensus that needs to occur for it to work. So if one of the nodes says, hey, I want to do this, the rest of them would have to agree to it to be able to make it happen. So we have a network around the world that is what makes it a decentralized, because it's around the world, it makes it a decentralized network so that we can give people a non-centralized approach to managing identity.
Yeah, and also organizations who want their own private network, they can spin up their own nodes to do that internally. So in that case, it's not necessarily a decentralized global network. It would be their own private network instance. But those nodes essentially still play that same role of running a copy of the ledger.
All right, sounds good. So what problems did Indicio set out to solve with this product? What are some of the hardships of setting up a node for yourself?
One of the hardest parts of setting up a node is getting the networking part of it set up right. And so what we've done with Nodi is we've done some of that work for you, and we've made it so that the process is a lot fewer steps than it used to be, and you can make sure that you can set it up and have it up and running without going through a lot of the after process that we regularly have to do with people are not as familiar with the networking part of things. And so that's one of the parts that's easier. And then just having it in GCP itself within the marketplace makes it tons easier as well. I'm just going to get started with a few clicks, and then the instructions take you through it the rest of the way pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to add in too. One thing I've seen is that organizations are they're looking to get working on more of the application layer of this technology. So getting the actual product that's going to be in the hands of their end users out to market. If you're familiar with the trust over IP technology stack, there's the four layers involved. Top layer being the application ecosystems. So that it could be a web interface, that could be a mobile application. But different ways those are applied to industry verticals. So healthcare, for example, finance. It's where a lot of the action is most visible in terms of credentials being used. In layer three, you have the trust task protocols. So that's where, I guess the issuance, verification, holding of credential is kind of categorized down in that area. So the different tasks going on within a trusted digital ecosystem. Beneath that, you've got layer two, that's the peer-to-peer communication protocols. So DIDCOM, for example, other protocols that allow for that secure exchange of information involving DIDs. And then down in the layer, the bottom layer, layer one, this is sometimes called the utility layer. This is where a verifiable data registry or a decentralized identity network lives. And it's at that layer that nodes are involved. Those are what make up the utilities. So the Indicio networks, for example, which are Hyperledger Indy networks, are made up of Hyperledger Indy nodes distributed across the globe. So yeah, they don't want to get caught up, building and getting stuck, devoting their resources to layer one, where it's, a harder layer to work within that requires special expertise and skill. They want to be working in the upper layers, and so that's why the surface is great. It makes layer one even easier.
So if we could get into, some of the more granular details, would you be able to compare and contrast what it looks like to set up a usual decentralized node and what it looks like through the node on demand through Google Cloud?
Oh yeah, I can take that one. So Tim, to get started in today, if you, yesterday, before Nodi came out, you would have to get a hold of us, and we would have to give you uh, essentially a folder full of instructions, right? There's a Google Drive folder that's an open source folder where anyone can go out and build a node. And if you're building it on GCP, you open up the GCP instructions and you go through and create your server. And then once you're done creating the server, then you go out and follow some other instructions to set up your configure and install the node itself. There's another document. And so there's it's something where it takes a little bit of effort. It's not super hard if you have the instructions in front of you. The instructions that we give are step by step. It does work a lot faster / better if you have some knowledge of Linux and how all that works. But and again, for all those documents and learning about all that stuff and trying it out and doing it, it's probably at least 4 hours of work for someone who hasn't ever seen it before. For me, who has seen it before, it's a good hour and a half to 2 hours. It just is not a super short process to set up a node for an Indy network. So what this Nodi does for you, though, is it makes it so that about half of that documentation or less or more goes away, and you can set up a node as an individual in, I would guess, around an hour. because it's a much easier process now. There's still some pre-setup steps, but once you've gotten through some of the pre-setup and dug into it, the process now with Node is a lot more straightforward. It's easier to understand, and much quicker to set up your node than it was yesterday. So.
All right. And then through this Google Node on Demand, it's already tied into the Indicio network, or do they choose which network that they want to be a part of? How does that work?
Yeah, they get to choose. They can add a network to an Indicio network. It can be to their own network that they're setting up. It could be to a network consortium that they, with their partners, are setting up and looking to operate. Or it can be another existing network, one that is already, community or public facing, that they are simply looking to get infrastructure to add to, or it can be their own network. So yeah, they get the choice.
All right, sounds good. So how do you get started? What do you do to spin up one of these nodes on demand?
That's a good one, Tim. Let me share my screen if that's okay here. We'll give a quick overview here of how one would get started. So essentially, you contact us to get this Indicio Node GCP instance creation guide. And there's some pre-steps that you have to do before you just jump right in and launch your instance. You have to set up some networking stuff. And so these are, maybe you want to create a new project, and then just show you briefly here. We're going to set up a second VPC and some other networking things because GCP doesn't come standard with some of those network setup things that are needed. We have to do some background stuff before we jump right into the node thing. And so after a few steps here, and they're very detailed, as you can see here, we've got all of the different items here just detailed out. So it's not hard at all to follow this because these are the things exactly that you'll see on your screen. We just step by step walk you through it. And then at a certain point, you'll go to the marketplace and begin the installation and bring up your node deployment here, where it says Indicio Node deployment, and make sure you select the same zone that you set up when you're building your during your pre-steps, building your network stuff, and then just follow the instructions that are further down in this the instance guide to fill this out. And this is just a really short thing here, and then click on deploy. And there's a few more steps of final configuration after that, once your server gets up and running that has your node on it. And like I said before, there's some of the networking stuff that has to happen after you click on deploy is done for you by Node now, and that makes it a lot easier to make sure that the network stuff is running.
Well, it looks like that is about our time for today. If you're interested in learning more about verifiable credential technology, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll continue to bring you some more educational content. If you have any questions or specific topics that you'd like for us to cover, please go ahead and leave a comment below. We'll be sure to read and address them. And thank you again to you, Lynn and James. If people want to learn more about Google Node on demand, where would you suggest that they go to look?
Yeah, you can check out the announcement on the website, or yeah, you can always contact us through the website and our contact form. We're always happy to chat.